I'm Tanush Gupta, one of the fellows at Montefiore Medical Center. As we said, we are here with Dr. Josh Beckman. He's the Director of Vascular Medicine at Vanderbilt University, Nashville. So thanks, Dr. Beckman, for being with us.
Oh, it's a real pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So we'd like to start with, do you remember at your time, what was your first ACC experience like?
That's really hard to say. I've been involved with the ACC for more than 20 years now, even though I look very young. Let's see, I had opportunities to present abstracts here. I had opportunities to work with committees here. I got an ACC Merck grant to support my research. I've been involved with ACC in terms of their advocacy. And all of these opportunities were available because basically I showed up and people offered them. And the more you want to put into the ACC, the more you're going to get out.
Thank you so much. That's good advice. So what do you advise the fellow in trainings? Like, it's a busy meeting. There's so much going on. It's almost like a circus in here. Like to get, we come in like 2 times in a year, like to the ACC, AHA, like 3 days. And how do the FITs make the most of the ACC?
I think the best part of an in-person meeting is meeting the persons who are here. And that for all the people who are fellows in training, you really want to try and meet leaders in your field and other folks who are involved so that you can get involved yourself. So if there are council meetings or committee meetings, like the PVD meeting is in an hour or so, it's actually tomorrow night, you want to go so you can meet other folks in your field. If you're interested in education or you're interested in advocacy or you're interested in doing something, look for the organizations within the larger organization where you can begin to do some work and extend your network. And the more work you do, the more you're going to be invited to do.
One question, like for you think, from an interventional point of view, as us, the FITs in the general fellowship, like for those interested in interventional, like from being an interventionist, peripheral specialist, what do you advise the FITs in general fellowship to try get from their the general 3-year training to make the most out of it for their careers ahead when they begin their CAT training?
Yeah, so I actually think that when one decides to specialize, it's incredibly important to get as much possible out of your previous training experience. So you go through 3 years of medical training, and then you become a cardiologist. You do not forget your medical training for 2 reasons. One, you have to recognize illness and emergency, even if they're not in your scope. Well, the same is, and the second one is that it's going to help you make the diagnosis for diseases that may be on the border between the 2 specialties. Well, if you're going to become an interventionalist, you need to know and have the cognitive background available so that you can be an interventionalist who's not an idiot, right? Taking care of different patients is not just the procedure. In fact, the procedure you learn by doing it hundreds of times. What's really important is you figure out the right people in whom to apply technologies and also the right people in whom not to. So I think you really need to develop a very strong cognitive base so that when you become a proceduralist, you can rely on that cognitive base and determine when it's appropriate to apply your extra skill set.
Thank you so much. That's again great advice. And the last question, I think one big thing coming out of the ACC today is going to be the 4-year trial, and we see that there was some, we saw that it met both the primary, secondary endpoints, but not, it didn't have an effect on either all-cause or cardiovascular mortality. But still it was a positive trial, but we've seen that the uptake in the US has really been low. And so where do you see this going from here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So these are my first impressions. Obviously, I've only had, like everybody else, 6 hours to think about it. But the first place I'm definitely going to use it is in my patients who are statin intolerant. So I think one thing that's going to grow out of this trial is protocols for determining statin intolerance. You're not going to be able to say that you can't tolerate one drug once, but we're going to figure out what that is so that we can then refer folks for PCSK9 therapy. Number 2, I think the next thing is we're going to wait for some of the subgroups, and I guarantee you that some of the subgroups did better than others, and if you just have to lay a bet like everything else in cardiology, your higher risk groups probably derive more benefit, and that's where the drug may gain some purchase. So the folks whose cholesterols aren't really lower despite being on high-dose statins, maybe they get down to 95 instead of down to 70. The folks who've had multiple MIs, the folks with diabetes and renal insufficiency, my guess is that we're going to find out within that group of 27,000 people who had the higher event rates and who may benefit from a more intensive therapy applied.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Beckman. So thank you so much for being with us on ACC Fits on the Go blog, and you can find all of our videos at YouTube #Fits on the Go. Thank you so much, Dr. Beckman.
Thanks for having me. This was great.